blue here. This one would require for the 45-day pre-notification, no later than the second week of November. Would you need to get that pre-notification out to your environmental justice community listing?
I
So
think
this
that's,
blue highlighted one is
that's fine.
the earliest possible that you'd be able to still meet the 45-day pre-notification requirement.
I think that gives us a little bit more window to try to actually get into annual town meeting. I mean, it makes like a 5-week difference.
Does the board want to take this draft plan to town meeting?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna need a lot of work to describe it to the public, and there's gonna have to be a lot of frequently asked question things, and there needs to be a group of people that are willing to support it as a draft document that's gonna be changed. I mean,
The understanding that it can be adapted.
Well, it has to be adapted.
Right. Right. It's going to take a lot of discussion and understanding.
Well, and I think it's gonna take a lot of discussion and understanding that while we're in this plan, we're gonna be talking to Falmouth about what they're doing. We're gonna be doing other things. We'll be investigating, whatever. And somehow to be able to say to people, the question is if we end up sewering because IA systems aren't working, that if you put one in, won't tap you. So I'm okay with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of questions. I think the fact that I do think that between now and December 23rd, we need to have a conversation with the school committee of the fact that we are putting this in their plan. We're using the wastewater treatment plant in our plan.
Yep.
And make sure that they're okay with us considering that. Because if they're not, then it's not a plan, and it's their property, so.
Well, is it the time to have that discussion? Is when it is for that joint meeting with the budget? It's hard to get people all together at the same time, or is it?
I don't know about that. I think maybe I think it might be better to request a meeting with the Budget and Facilities group first.
Subcommittee.
Yeah.
Subcommittee?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it into a big meeting with,
No, I'd start first with budget and sub.
yeah, and
Budget
so
and
they usually
facilities.
meet first
And they can bring it
Wednesday, so we
forward to the
can
committee.
schedule a
Yeah,
meeting
I
with.
think they meet
They
same
usually
day
meet
of,
just before
but-
the
right.
school committee meeting,
Right.
so. All right,
So Kate, if our filing is due, to MIPA no later than December 16th, what information do you need from us?
So I am going to, that was the first decision, so we can check this off. We're gonna actually revise this to be the accelerated timeline. So this will need to be revised to include the 12/16 filing date. I will need to give you a draft for that pre-notification to the environmental justice communities. I'm gonna skip down to my question 6 from our agenda for you all today, which is, does the town utilize any languages in addition to English for distributing notices to the community, specifically environmental justice communities? We'll need to know whether that notice will need to be translated as soon as possible so that we can get that notice prepared for notification to the environmental justice communities.
We do not, Kate.
Okay. That's that. So that being said, the next item is answering question 3 and 4 as it will pertain to the actual language of the filing itself, there are some questions around. Question 3 is who will oversee the adaptive management planning for the CWMP? So it's essentially saying when there is going to be future notices of project change, which we will fully expect, who will be that overseeing authority? It usually will default to be select board. This is the option to say, do you need to amend that or make any changes to that?
Select board,
Select board,
select board.
and then, you know, if it's a change to a sewer project, you know, to a sewer plan, then you'll involve the sewer department. And if it's a change to the IA plan, you'll involve the health department.
Beautiful. And then for question 4, it was truly, and I think we're too early to tell, so I'm gonna recommend that we just say we don't know what conservation measures we're gonna undertake yet, but we absolutely will consider them as part of finalized design. But the question on the form is, does the town have a desire to pursue sustainability upgrades such as water conservation, wastewater mitigation, or like beneficial water reuse, or other type projects as part of CWMP implementation? So the example I gave is, for example, would you consider, not commit to, just consider water reuse for Bourne schools for irrigation of playing fields or other type uses as allowed under Massachusetts general law for water reuse as an example.
I think we would consider it, and I think when we go to talk to capital and facilities, we should discuss that with them, right?
But, so at this point, we just are saying that the
We'll
town
consider
may
it.
consider it, you know, may consider it.
Yeah, we may consider it.
Correct.
But there's not going to be any definitive answer.
Yeah.
No, the question on the form is just related to whether you will require a different threshold review. Your default for any projects is going to be wastewater planning for any type of sewer project. The reason why we're doing our special project review is because technically, according to the MEPA thresholds, you don't need the MEPA permission to do widespread general use IA systems on individual properties. That is not a standard MEPA threshold. One of the other MEPA thresholds is for adding in sustainability items can be seen as beneficial if you are meeting or exceeding a threshold under a different category. So it's considered a gold star checkbox, if I may summarize it as such. It's not required. I think it's encouraged. If you're open to considering it as part of any facility planning that you do, I feel comfortable drafting language to be able to give you room to consider it, but not to commit one way or the other.
That would be good. Room to
Yeah.
consider, not to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. And the last question I had, just to kind of wrap it up, is does the select board want to receive feedback from the public prior to the EENF filing? Or would you prefer to use the public comment period for EENF, for the MEPA filing, as the official comment channel? This goes to the bigger question of, we had talked about last time and hadn't necessarily decided whether you would want to pursue a public hearing during your public comment period. So bear with me, I'm just gonna jump back to that little table. Here we go. Now that we've revised the environmental monitor publish date to be December 23rd, 2024, knowing that your public comment for the ENF form would close by January 13th, 2025, that puts your opportunity to advertise and host a public hearing for the public to attend within that time span. So I'm gonna use a little calendar and jump ahead it would basically be looking at the week of December 30th, 2024, or the week of January 6th, 2025, to host a public hearing.
I think the January date's better because between Christmas and New Year's,
I think what we could consider, I think what, I feel after all this discussion that we've had, that it would not really be helpful to have a pre-meeting, that we would do it during the comment period. And then what we would do is put a big thing on our website that says, we have posted this, our draft or whatever, made our filing with MIPA. This is the public comment period. This is how you comment. So people know how to comment on it. We advertise that they can comment on it, similar to the bridges do. They say you can comment on it. And then see if we can find a date. I'd have to figure out when Marlene is planning to do her budget message.
I think it's the 14th.
January 14th.
So January 7th,
Yep.
we could, as kind of part of our regular meeting, just have a presentation that can make people aware of kind of what we're doing, try to get something that's a condensed thing to have people understand.
Yep.
And,
So no formal public hearing that's advertised? Kate, are we required to hold a public hearing, an advertised public hearing?
You are not. It is an optional hearing and/or MIPA, they call it a site visit, but essentially it would be a public forum presentation. The goal of that would be to provide information in a spoken format about the CWMP project, but that you wouldn't necessarily be receiving any comments on it in oral format at that hearing. Any comments that the public wants to make on the filing will still need to be made written format through the Environmental Monitor portal online. But the public hearing can show people how to use the portal to leave comments and/or also walk through a high-level overview of the CWMP itself.
So how about January 7th, as part of your regular agenda, there's a discussion of CWMP MIPA comment procedures?
It works.
is that good for everyone?
So what I will then do is I will adapt the current draft newspaper. This was the draft example notice of review.
Is it on a page?
It was like the first pages.
It's page 4 of 76 of the packet. This is just what the example draft public notice would be that you need to publish in the newspaper. So what I will do is add to this that there will be, as part of the regularly scheduled select board meeting on January 7th, an opportunity for a public information session about the CWMP environmental review, period.
Yep.
So I need to revise this, is what I'm saying. So I'll send this back out so you can review.
I kind of have an idea that we might want to, I don't know if this is possible, but to create some like boards that we could have available to the public at 6:30 that are like, this is kind of what we're doing, so there are people, if they wanted to come, it's kind of like an open house on the CWMP. And then have a couple things that say, this is kind of the plans of what we're doing, and then have an agenda item where people could comment, and then we can explain, and we can have a board that they could QR code or do whatever. I'm thinking of the kind of the way they do the bridges things, all these open houses. So,
I agree.
okay.
So what form of votes do we need to take today?
Well, I think, I think we should
Move forward with the filing, right? And
say
the dates of the filing.
we're doing our filing, the 12/16/24 filing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which is revising our timeline to try to be ready for the annual town meeting. The select board will be the notification person. We'll have a public open house, informational meeting, not a hearing, on January 7th, right?
Yep.
And we also discussed changing the phases so they reference watersheds and not say direct discharge.
Yeah.
Are there any comments from the public before we do this vote? Is this making sense to all of you about what we're doing? You all happy?
Well, yeah.
You happy? I
In
mean,
the right
Process
direction.
of replacing my septic. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you how happy I am
It's-
when I get a quote.
It's a step in the right direction. Step forward, baby steps.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should perhaps have on our November 12th meeting, can you redraft all these changes so that we can,
When we voted on that.
we
day.
can have the new documents and then be good, right? Is that possible? We have a meeting November 12th. It's a regular meeting.
Yep, well, sorry. Yep, I'm just looking, so that means having information back to you.
The Friday
12th
before
a
is better.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the Friday before, the noon on Friday, whatever the day
Thursday before.
Thursday before.
On or before,
November 7th.
subtract a day.
Yep.
November 6th, okay?
Yep.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
That's a Tuesday, yeah, but that's good,
November
yeah.
6th.
yes.
No, it's Wednesday.
Is it? Fifth? Oh, it is Wednesday.
Voting-
Fifth is
Fifth is
Tuesday. Yeah.
Tuesday.
Got me straight.
The items I can plan to have available will include that revised, sooner than that, I will need to get you the EJ community pre-notification materials so that you can review and approve those prior to distribution. Then the revised ENF form, including answers to the questions that I had and clarification on the titling and wording around the CWMP watershed phases.
Okay,
And it-
if I might,
Yeah, hop in, Hope.
so on those particular items, do we need to have an official vote at that November
14th.
12th meeting for those items? I just wanna make sure we've got the process down right, that's all. Marlene, I don't know if you wanna weigh in on that, if,
12,
Well,
yeah.
that's the intent, right? To vote
I
on the
think that's,
November 12th.
I
That's the
think
intent.
I think that's the intent. I like to have a final document that we say, this is the document that we're approving to
voting.
go forward with whatever has to be done.
right,
Yeah.
I just wanna be clear that when we send it along, then on your agenda, it'll be listed as you're going to vote to
Yeah,
accept those filings and that.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
Kate, when does the notice for the EJ pre-notification, when does that have to be sent to the newspaper?
So the pre-notification will go directly to the environmental justice community stakeholder list, so it's gonna be, filing on 23rd, 30 days is November 23rd. 2 weeks. It needs to be done on or before November 8th.
Okay.
November 8th is the final deadline, 15 plus 45.
Okay, so
45 days,
that's gonna go before you vote it.
correct.
Right, so
Yeah,
maybe.
we're just
so
notifying that we're
becomes-
filing, right? That's just a notification that we're filing. It doesn't contain the actual filing, right?
Correct.
It's that second,
Correct.
it's like, it's that first document after the memo, I think, in your,
The letter, like
hey, is that what it is, that letter?
the public notice of environment.
It even will have, yes, it is literally just this information, but it also, I believe, has some information about how to access environmental monitor. So this is the newspaper filing that has to go on or before December 15th. That will get filed with Bourne, Enterprise, and Cape Cod Times.
So on page 4, the public notice of environmental review, is that what we're talking about?
No, it's not.
No, we're talking about the EJ, yeah, so let's stick on
Which is
on that
not-
permanent.
Which is not included in this packet. I did not
Yeah.
send you a draft of the EJ pre-notification.
Okay,
So the question on the table then, Kate, is when we do that pre-notification, are there any documents that get attached to that?
No.
I think, okay, so it's just that notification, and then the filing happens. So it's just giving them pre-notice that it's happened, so they get told once and then they get told again. So it's, all you would be doing is reviewing that ad and then maybe giving Marlene.
I think we should authorize
Say it's
Marlene
okay.
to approve the EJ notification, so we don't have to
And-
need to do it.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
move.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Second.
we will authorize Marlene to approve the EJ, the pre-notification, so it can be filed before the due date, the November 8th due date.
All right, so move for that request.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. This has to be a roll call vote. I have to go back to my Zoom here. Jean?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
MJ, yes, 500. So get that to us, but we're authorizing Marlene to approve. All right. And then we're confirming our schedule change to the 12/23 filing, the revision of the timeline to get to the annual, hopefully to the annual town meeting, the select board, water use, public information meeting on January 7th, changing that to the phases to include watersheds. Is there anything else we need to include in this motion?
So
And
move.
and to review the final,
Yeah.
to vote approval of the final draft on November 12th.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Thank you for your patience in answering all of our questions
Oh, my God.
and our
That's why
angst
we're
and like
here.
what we're actually doing and approving. And it's, it's a learning experience and we learn every time. Okay, so this is a roll.
And it is complicated because it's a multi-year, and it's easy to forget what decisions were made.
Multi-year, multi-layers.
Okay. All right then. So this is a roll call. Jean?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Anne Marie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
MJ? Yes, 500. Have we answered all your questions? Do you need us to answer anything else?
You answered all the questions I had on the decisions to be made list. So we will get information back to you. We'll be in touch, Marlene, for the environmental justice, the pre-notification form first priority.
Yep.
And then being able to get you the revisions on all the items you just walked through today. By your next meeting.
Yeah, we have a break in meetings, thank goodness.
So based on that next date of November 12th, I make a, that's our next meeting day, I make a motion to adjourn.
Just, but I don't know if there's anything left on the agenda to say
No, that's
about
it.
anything about
That's it.
dates. I just want to say, if there's anything about next meetings.
Is there?
I'm not sure, but we may need some sort of a meeting to approve a purchase and sale agreement before our November 12th meeting.
Well, if we
I
do-
don't know if that's gonna happen, but we might. Because if the closing for that land, for the Bourne Conservation Trust land is the 12th, I don't know if we need that before. If they need it before, so that,
Special meeting or whatever,
Yeah.
then we get to do it.
yeah, we'll figure it out. So I'm just kind of putting you on notice. All right, now I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second. But right now, November 12th is our next meeting.
Yes. Roll call vote, Jean,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Emery,
Yes?
Peter,
Yes.
MJ, yes, 500.